The story begins with a scene where the protagonist, Jack Walker, a wealthy and successful businessman, finds himself in a situation he never expected. Despite his success, he struggles with managing his home life, particularly his young daughter Lily, who needs a full-time nanny. He has tried many nannies in the past, but none have worked out due to their lack of trustworthiness or inadequate care for Lily. Jack is feeling frustrated, not knowing what to do, as his demanding career keeps him busy. Jack's assistant Sarah suggests he hire a new nanny she found, but he's skeptical. After all, his high expectations and emotional attachment to Lily have made him cautious about who he allows into their lives. Yet, in a moment of desperation, Jack agrees to meet this new candidate. His assistant arranges an interview at his lavish penthouse, and Jack, feeling both nervous and hopeful, waits for her arrival. When Samantha enters the penthouse for the interview, she seems like a typical nanny at first glance. She's in her mid-20s, dressed simply but elegantly, with a kind smile and a calming presence. However, there's an air of mystery surrounding her that Jack immediately senses. Samantha is poised and professional, but there's something about her eyes, a hint of a secret, that catches Jack's attention. He tries to shake off the feeling and focuses on her qualifications. Her resume is impressive, and she seems to have the experience needed to care for Lily. But as the interview progresses, Jack notices small inconsistencies in Samantha's story. She's vague when it comes to discussing her past, particularly why she's no longer working with her previous employers. Every question about her previous experience is met with a polite but evasive answer. Jack's suspicions grow as he becomes increasingly aware that something isn't adding up. He wonders why a woman with such qualifications would leave a prestigious position without giving clear details. Still, he finds himself intrigued by her calm demeanor and the way she engages with Lily, who is shy but warm towards Samantha. Jack, though still cautious, feels a strange sense of comfort around her, something he hasn't felt with any other nanny. As Jack and Samantha continue their conversation, he decides to test her reaction by asking more personal questions, hoping to uncover more details. But every time, Samantha skillfully deflects, maintaining a perfect balance of professionalism and mystery. She mentions a few hardships in her life, but she keeps it vague, speaking mostly about her love for children and her desire to care for Lily. The more Jack tries to probe into her personal history, the more she pulls away. It becomes clear that Samantha is hiding something, a secret she's carefully guarding. The tension in the room builds, and Jack becomes more curious, even suspicious, about who Samantha is. He can't help but wonder, what's her real story? Why is she so careful not to reveal too much? Despite his growing concerns, Jack is drawn to her in a way he can't explain. There's an undeniable attraction that builds between them, though Jack fights to keep his professional demeanor intact. He rationalizes that maybe he's reading too much into it, that maybe it's just the stress of managing his company and caring for Lily. But he can't shake the feeling that Samantha's presence is more than just coincidental. He senses there's something more beneath the surface. As the interview comes to a close, Jack still doesn't know if he can trust Samantha. He doesn't have enough information to make a decision, but something about her has intrigued him. When she stands to leave, he shakes her hand firmly and thanks her for coming. As she walks toward the door, he can't help but feel a sense of uncertainty. He wants to know more about her, but he's also afraid of what he might uncover. With every step she takes, Jack feels the weight of his decision hanging over him. Will he hire her, or is this a mistake he'll regret? Samantha leaves, and Jack remains standing in the doorway, staring after her, conflicted. He wonders if she could be the right choice for Lily. But the questions about her past linger in his mind, unresolved. As the door closes behind her, Jack can't help but feel like this interview was only the beginning of something far more complicated, something that could change his life in ways he never expected. Little does he know, this is just the start of a journey that will uncover secrets, lead to unexpected revelations, and ultimately force him to confront the truth about both Samantha and himself. The nanny begins her new job with a fresh start, hoping to leave behind the shadows of her past. Her new employer, a wealthy businessman, has hired her to look after his young child while his hectic life as a CEO keeps him busy. At first, everything seems perfect. The house is large, the job seems simple, and the child is sweet. On the surface, It appears to be the beginning of a stable new chapter for her. But there's more to her story than meets the eye. As the nanny starts to settle in, the wealthy man, Nicholas, begins to take notice of her. While he's initially focused on his business, he can't help but observe the way she interacts with his child. She's calm, patient, and attentive. But Nicholas also begins to notice something else. She's strangely guarded, never letting anyone get too close. There's a wall around her emotions, and she avoids any personal conversations. The man finds this both curious and intriguing. Why does she stay so distant? The more Nicholas interacts with her, the more he realizes that she isn't as open and carefree as she seems. While she's wonderful with the child, there's an air of mystery about her. She's careful with her words, and when Nicholas tries to ask her about her past, she deflects the conversation. The more he pushes, the more she pulls back. This only fuels his curiosity. What is she hiding? Despite the tension, the nanny works hard to build a routine with the child. She helps with homework, prepares meals, and spends time playing with the little one, ensuring the child feels loved and cared for. However, there's always a distance between her and the rest of the family. She's very polite and professional, but she never lets anyone get too close, and there's an undeniable sadness in her eyes that she tries to hide. Every time the nanny is asked about her personal life or past, she dodges the questions, giving only vague answers. She keeps her private life locked away, refusing to let anyone in. As Nicholas begins to spend more time around the house, he can't shake the feeling that there's something more to her than just a simple nanny. He notices little things. How she always looks over her shoulder when leaving the house. How she keeps her personal belongings tightly packed, as though she's afraid someone might come looking for her. There are whispers about her around the house, and Nicholas's curiosity grows even stronger. One evening, while the nanny is tucking the child into bed, Nicholas catches a glimpse of her sitting alone in the living room, staring out the window with a distant expression. It's clear she's lost in thought, as though she's waiting for something. Or perhaps someone. He wonders if she's waiting for a sign to finally break free from her self-imposed isolation. But what is she running from? The next day, Nicholas decides to ask her directly about her past, hoping that she'll finally open up. But when he does, she quickly becomes defensive. She brushes him off, saying that her personal life is none of his concern. But there's an intensity in her eyes that suggests otherwise. He can tell she wants to say something, but she's afraid. It's in that moment that Nicholas realizes just how much pain she's carrying with her. Whatever it is, it's something deeply personal, something that still haunts her to this day. Despite his frustration at not getting any answers, Nicholas can't help but feel drawn to her. There's something about her that intrigues him. Something beyond her ability to care for his child. There's a quiet strength in her, but also a vulnerability that calls to him. She's hiding a secret, and for reasons unknown to him, he's determined to find out what it is. But will she ever let him in? Or will she continue to shut him out, keeping her painful past locked away forever? As the days pass, the tension between them continues to build. While she remains as professional and kind as ever, the wall she's built around herself becomes more and more apparent. She's afraid to let anyone in, especially him, despite the growing connection between them. Nicholas wonders if she'll ever be able to trust him enough to share her story, or if the secret she's hiding will remain buried forever. The days continue to unfold in the grand house, and while the nanny remains dedicated to her role, Nicholas starts noticing more inconsistencies in her behavior. Things that didn't seem so important at first now stand out like red flags. Little moments of hesitation, a fleeting look of fear in her eyes, and the occasional slip-up in her story make him increasingly suspicious. It's as though she's trying to maintain the facade of a perfect nanny, but cracks are starting to show. The first clue comes when Nicholas is going through the household accounts one afternoon. He notices a small but significant discrepancy in the nanny's pay. While everything else seems to be in order, there's an unusually large deduction from her paycheck for miscellaneous expenses. The amount is far too high for anything related to her duties as a nanny, and it piques his interest. The question that nags at him is simple. Why is she hiding something like this? Unable to resist his growing curiosity, Nicholas decides to subtly ask her about the deduction the next time they speak. But when he broaches the subject, her reaction is immediate and defensive. She gives him a forced smile, claiming that it's nothing, just a personal matter that she's dealing with. But Nicholas isn't convinced. Something about her answer doesn't sit right with him. It feels rehearsed, too polished to be truthful. The more he tries to push for details, the more closed off she becomes. But this only fuels his determination to find out what she's hiding. Over the next few days, Nicholas's suspicion grows as he watches her carefully. She continues to be the perfect nanny, attentive, kind, and professional with the child. But her behavior outside of work hours is what makes him wonder. One evening, Nicholas hears a hushed conversation between the nanny and one of the housekeepers. The conversation is brief, but Nicholas catches a few telling words. "You can't let him find out," and, "If he does, it'll all be over." These words linger in his mind, and he can't help but feel like he's on the cusp of uncovering something monumental. The next day, Nicholas decides to confront her directly. He arranges a casual conversation over lunch, trying to keep it lighthearted. He asks her about the things she enjoys doing outside of work, about her past, and anything that might give him some insight into who she is. But once again, she dodges his questions. She smiles politely, but there's a visible wall between them that he can't break down. It's as if she's afraid to reveal even the smallest detail of her life. But Nicholas isn't ready to give up just yet. He knows something's wrong, and he's determined to find out what it is. The next time he walks into the living room, he notices that the nanny has left her phone unattended on the coffee table. It's a rare opportunity, and his curiosity gets the better of him. He picks it up, debating whether to look through it. Part of him feels guilty, but the other part knows that this could be the clue he's been waiting for. After a few moments of hesitation, he unlocks the phone, finding a series of encrypted messages that seem to be from someone who's warning her about something. The messages are cryptic, but one thing is clear. She's in some sort of trouble, and it's not just about the money. Just as he's about to read more, he hears footsteps approaching. He quickly locks the phone and places it back on the table, his heart racing. The nanny walks into the room moments later, and their eyes meet. For the first time, Nicholas sees a flicker of something in her eyes, a recognition, almost as though she knows he was snooping. But she says nothing. She simply gives him a small smile. And for a moment, everything feels normal again. Later that evening, Nicholas can't shake the feeling that the nanny is hiding something far more significant than he ever imagined. The encrypted messages, the financial discrepancy, and the strange conversation with the housekeeper, all of it adds up to a story he's not sure he's ready to uncover. He doesn't want to jump to conclusions, but the pieces of the puzzle are starting to fall into place. The next day, Nicholas decides to visit one of his old friends who works in the city's legal department. He's not sure what he's looking for, but he feels the need to get a professional opinion on the situation. When he brings up the nanny's name, his friend's expression changes. He doesn't say much, but the way he reacts tells Nicholas everything he needs to know. There's something about her that doesn't add up, something her past is hiding. Nicholas realizes that he has a choice to make. He can let the nanny continue her role in his home, possibly ignoring whatever secret she's concealing, or confront her and risk unraveling a complicated and potentially dangerous situation. Either way, one thing is certain. He's just scratched the surface of a much larger mystery, and he has no idea where it will lead. The days grow tense as Nicholas becomes more fixated on uncovering the truth about the nanny. After he discovers the encrypted messages and his suspicions about her past, he can't shake the feeling that there is something much more significant at play. The cracks in her story are growing larger, and he's beginning to realize that she's not just some ordinary nanny. There's a hidden agenda behind her presence in his life. The more Nicholas watches her, the more he sees the subtle signs that suggest she's playing a much bigger game than anyone could have imagined. There are times when she seems too composed for someone in her position, as if she's always one step ahead of everyone around her. Her actions are calculated, and while she continues to fulfill her role with precision, Nicholas can't ignore the nagging feeling that she has another agenda entirely. One afternoon, Nicholas decides to go through the nanny's file again. He feels guilty doing it, but his suspicion is consuming him. He needs answers. This time, he noticed something odd in the documents, a few inconsistencies in her employment history. She had been recommended by a trusted agency, but her references seemed vague and almost too perfect. The glowing reports about her qualifications didn't add up with her actual resume. There was a gap in her employment record, and no one could account for the year she spent away from the workforce. It was as if she had vanished from the radar entirely. For someone who had been working in childcare for years, such a blank period was highly unusual. The more Nicholas digs into her background, the more he feels like she's playing a dangerous game. It's not just about money or some personal secret. It's about something much more dangerous. Nicholas starts to question whether the nanny is involved in something far bigger than he could ever imagine. Could she be using him for her gain? Is she after something more than just a paycheck and a roof over her head? As the days go by, he begins to notice more strange occurrences. Her interactions with the child seem increasingly distant, almost like she's avoiding forming any kind of emotional connection with the boy. Nicholas doesn't understand why. She's always been so caring with him before. But now there's a strange detachment. It's as though she's only going through the motions, making sure to do her job just well enough to avoid suspicion. Nicholas's curiosity intensifies when he notices that the nanny has become increasingly secretive. She's taking long walks at odd hours, disappearing for hours at a time without explanation. Every time Nicholas tries to ask her about it, she brushes it off with a smile, claiming she's just getting some fresh air or handling personal matters. But Nicholas can't ignore the gut feeling that something isn't right. He can see through her act. She's hiding something, and the more she tries to shield herself, the more she draws his attention. One evening, while Nicholas is out of the house for a business meeting, the nanny receives a phone call. She answers it quickly, her voice dropping to a low whisper. The conversation is short, but Nicholas hears enough to make his blood run cold. She's talking to someone about the plan and the next step. She mentions something about how it's time to finish what they started, and that everything will go according to plan once Nicholas is out of the picture. At that moment, Nicholas's world stops. He has no idea what the plan is, but it's clear that whatever is going on, he's not just an innocent bystander in her life. He's a target. The next day, Nicholas confronts her. He's furious, but tries to keep his emotions in check. He can't risk letting her know how much she's rattled him. He tells her that he knows she's hiding something and that he's done everything he can to protect his family from harm. But she doesn't react the way he expects. Instead of becoming defensive, she remains eerily calm. For a brief moment, he wonders if she's finally going to confess. But instead of admitting anything, she gives him a chilling smile, one that doesn't reach her eyes. She tells him that he's right about one thing. She isn't who he thinks she is. And she's not here for the reasons he imagines. Her words send a shiver down his spine, and he presses her further. This time, she gives him a cryptic warning, one that leaves him questioning everything. She tells him that it's already too late, and that he's in far deeper than he realizes. Then she walks away, leaving him with a sense of dread that he can't shake. What exactly has she gotten herself involved in? What dangerous game is she playing, and how is he tangled in it? As the days go by, Nicholas becomes obsessed with finding out the truth. The nanny's behavior becomes increasingly erratic, and the tension between them reaches a breaking point. She continues to distance herself emotionally from him and the child, and every interaction becomes a carefully crafted performance, as if she's playing a role and nothing more. One night, after another heated argument with the nanny, Nicholas decides to take matters into his own hands. He hires a private investigator to dig into her past. He knows it's risky, but he has no choice. The investigation uncovers shocking details about her life that Nicholas never could have imagined. Connections to dangerous individuals, secret dealings, and a hidden agenda that goes far beyond her role as a nanny. What he discovers leaves him reeling. The nanny's past is tangled up with criminals and shady business deals. She's been sent to get close to him, to manipulate him for a larger purpose. The shock of it all is almost too much to bear. He's been played, and now he must figure out what to do with the knowledge he's gained. The nanny's secret is out, but the question remains. Why is she here, and how far will she go to complete her mission? The stakes are higher than ever, and Nicholas knows that uncovering the truth could have dangerous consequences. The tension continues to escalate as Nicholas's suspicions about the nanny deepen. Every day he watches her closely, searching for clues that will explain the strange behavior and cryptic words she's let slip. The more he observes her, the more certain he becomes that she's hiding something far bigger than he could have ever imagined. He can't ignore the gnawing feeling that the woman he hired to take care of his child is involved in something dark and dangerous. One evening, after putting the child to bed, Nicholas finds himself unable to sleep. His mind races with thoughts of the nanny's behavior and the cryptic warning she gave him. He starts replaying every moment he shared with her, trying to piece together the puzzle that's been tormenting him. Why did she seem so emotionally distant? Why had she been so guarded about her past? Was she just a nanny? Or was there something much more sinister at play? As Nicholas is about to give in to his frustration, a strange noise catches his attention. He quickly rushes to the living room, where he finds the nanny standing by the window, speaking in hushed tones on her phone. Her voice is low, but Nicholas strains to hear, his curiosity overtaking his every thought. She's speaking to someone about the next phase of the plan, and she mentions that she needs to keep him, referring to Nicholas, in the dark for a little longer. Nicholas's heart races as he realizes that whatever game she's playing, he's a pawn in it. The words hang in the air, and he feels a cold shiver run down his spine. What plan are they talking about? And why is he being kept in the dark? Unable to wait any longer, Nicholas decides to confront her. He approaches the nanny, trying to stay calm, though his mind is spinning with 100 different questions. "Who were you talking to?" he demands, his voice firm but laced with a mixture of anger and fear. The nanny doesn't flinch, but her eyes momentarily flicker with concern. She tries to brush it off, claiming it was a call from an old friend, but Nicholas isn't buying it. Something about the way she responds doesn't sit right with him. He presses her further, but she becomes defensive, her calm demeanor slipping for the first time. She tells him that it's none of his business and that she's only trying to do her job. But Nicholas can see the cracks in her facade. The walls are coming down, and he knows he's getting closer to the truth. That night, Nicholas can't sleep. His mind won't stop racing, and his growing suspicions have become an obsession. He knows he can't let this go, and he needs to uncover the truth, no matter what it takes. The next day he follows her. She's always so careful to keep her distance, but this time, he's determined to see where she goes and who she meets. He trails her as she walks down the street, making sure to stay out of sight. She leads him to a small cafe on the edge of town, a place that seems to have little connection to her role as a nanny. Nicholas watches from a distance as she enters the cafe and meets with a man he's never seen before. The man is dressed in a suit, exuding an air of wealth and power. As they speak, Nicholas strains to hear, and what he overhears makes his blood run cold. The nanny is speaking to him about a deal, and it's clear they're discussing something illegal. She mentions needing to wrap things up quickly, and that Nicholas is starting to get suspicious. The man tells her that she needs to keep him distracted for a little while longer, and that everything will be fine once the final phase of the plan is in motion. Nicholas's heart sinks. This is no ordinary nanny. She's been manipulating him from the start. He watches as they share a brief handshake, and the man walks away with a briefcase in hand. The pieces of the puzzle are beginning to fit together, but Nicholas is still no closer to understanding the full picture. His mind is racing as he confronts the nanny when she returns home. His voice is tight with emotion as he demands answers. "What's going on? Who was that man? What do you want from me?" he asks, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. The nanny doesn't immediately answer. Instead, she looks at him, her expression unreadable. For a moment, there's a strange stillness between them, and Nicholas wonders if she's finally going to come clean. But instead of confessing, she does something unexpected. She smiles. It's a cold, calculating smile. one that sends a chill down Nicholas's spine. "You still don't get it, do you?" she says softly. "You're not as important as you think you are. You're just a stepping stone in the bigger picture." With those words, everything changes. Nicholas realizes that whatever the nanny's plan is, it goes far beyond him. He's no longer just a man who hired a nanny. He's become entangled in something much darker, something that he can't escape. She has her sights set on something far more dangerous, and Nicholas is powerless to stop it. But Nicholas isn't ready to give up. The realization that his life has been manipulated, his every move watched, fills him with determination. He won't let her win. As the days go by, Nicholas becomes more and more obsessed with uncovering the truth. He knows he's dealing with a skilled manipulator, and every time he thinks he's getting closer, she slips further away. But he's not backing down now. He's willing to risk everything to discover the full extent of the nanny's plans and stop her before it's too late. As Nicholas continues his investigation, the walls around the nanny begin to crumble. The deepening mystery surrounding her past and her true motives weighs heavily on him. Every interaction seems to carry a hidden meaning, and every word she speaks feels like part of a larger puzzle he can't quite solve. But he's getting closer. One fateful evening, Nicholas receives an anonymous tip. Someone who claims to know everything about the nanny and her secret life. The message is vague but compelling, hinting that the nanny is involved in something far bigger than just a simple job. She's not just a nanny. She's hiding a fortune. A hidden inheritance worth millions. The tip claims that she's been lying to everyone, including him, about who she is. Nicholas, unable to ignore the growing mystery, decides it's time to confront her. He's had enough of the games. The tension between them has become unbearable, and he can't keep pretending that everything is normal. The nanny, who has so carefully crafted her story, has been hiding something monumental. But what is it? The confrontation takes place on a rainy evening, as the two of them are alone in the mansion. Nicholas sits her down in the living room, his face stiff and resolute. "I know there's something you're not telling me," he says, his voice low but firm. "I know about the money. I know about the inheritance." The nanny's face goes pale, her lips trembling as she struggles to maintain her composure. The mask she's worn so carefully starts to crack, and for the first time, Nicholas sees the real person beneath the surface. The perfect facade she's put on begins to crumble. She looks at him, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and regret. For a moment, she says nothing, but the silence is unbearable. Nicholas presses on, his patience thinning. "What's going on? What's the truth? You've been lying to me this whole time." Finally, she breaks. Her voice is barely above a whisper as she tells him everything, the whole story that she's been hiding from him and everyone. It turns out that the nanny, whose name is Elena, isn't who she claimed to be. She's not just an ordinary woman looking for work. Elena is the sole heir to a multi-million-dollar fortune. Her late father, a powerful businessman, had built an empire that spanned industries, and his wealth was passed down to her. But Elena has never wanted that life. She's always despised the greed, the manipulation, and the world her father created. Instead, she chose a quiet, humble life away from the chaos, working menial jobs in an attempt to distance herself from the wealth that has always defined her. Elena confesses that she had never intended to become involved with Nicholas or his family. She simply needed to escape from the expectations that came with her wealth. But when she found herself struggling to make ends meet, she took the job as a nanny, hoping it would provide some stability. She didn't expect to get close to Nicholas or develop feelings for him. But she did, and now she's caught in a web of lies she can't escape from. The revelation hits Nicholas hard. Everything he thought he knew about her, every assumption he'd made, is shattered. Elena's life isn't the simple, humble one she portrayed to him. It's full of luxury, power, and immense wealth. Everything Nicholas could ever want. But she doesn't want it. She doesn't want him to know the truth because she fears that it will only complicate their already complicated relationship. She was trying to keep him at arm's length to prevent herself from falling deeper into a world she'd long abandoned. As the truth sinks in, Nicholas's emotions are a tangled mess of shock, anger, and confusion. The woman he's been falling in love with is not who he thought she was. Everything they've shared feels like a lie now, and he can't shake the feeling that he's been manipulated. But at the same time, he understands why she did it. He feels a strange sympathy for her, trapped in a life of wealth and expectations she never wanted. Still, he can't ignore the deeper implications of the situation. Elena's secret is worth millions. And while she's trying to distance herself from it, there's no denying the fact that her inheritance gives her power, and it's a power she has been trying to avoid. But now that the truth is out in the open, Nicholas has to decide what he wants. Can he accept the woman she truly is, or has everything changed forever? The two of them sit in silence for a long moment, each struggling to process the gravity of the situation. Elena looks at Nicholas, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and hope. She knows she's taken a huge risk in revealing her secret, and she's unsure if Nicholas can ever forgive her for lying to him. But there's a part of her that hopes he will, that maybe, despite everything, they can still have a chance at happiness. Nicholas, still processing the shock of her revelation, realizes that the woman he's fallen in love with isn't just a simple nanny. She's a woman with an incredible burden, one that she's carried alone for years. And now, he has to decide whether he's willing to take that burden on with her. The next step isn't clear. They both know that there's no going back from here. But the question remains, what will they do now? Can they build a future together? Or will Elena's past and her fortune tear them apart? As the storm rages outside, the two of them sit together in the quiet aftermath of the revelation. Their lives have changed forever, and there's no telling what the future holds. But for the first time, there's a sense of clarity. The truth has come to light, and now they have to figure out how to move forward, together or apart. After the shocking revelation of Elena's secret, Nicholas's world is upended. The truth about her inheritance, worth millions, is a game changer. Not only for their relationship, but also for the way Nicholas perceives everything he thinks he knows. The revelation that Elena is not just a humble nanny, but the heiress to an enormous fortune raises questions about her motives, her integrity, and her true feelings toward him. For Elena, the secret she's kept hidden for so long is now out in the open, and the weight of it is unbearable. The pressure of having to live a double life for so many years, constantly hiding her true identity and keeping her wealth a secret, has taken its toll on her emotional well-being. Now that it's all been exposed, Elena finds herself at a crossroads. She's been living in fear of losing Nicholas, afraid that he'll see her as nothing more than the wealth that comes with her inheritance. But Nicholas's reaction to the truth is unexpected, and Elena finds herself rethinking everything she's believed about herself, about him, and their future together. Nicholas, on the other hand, is struggling with a mix of emotions. The feelings of betrayal he initially experienced have given way to confusion and self-doubt. His view of Elena has changed drastically, and now he wonders if their relationship was based on lies. Could he have been falling for her because of the image she portrayed rather than who she is? As much as he wants to believe in her, he can't help but feel conflicted. He's spent his life building his success, never relying on anyone's wealth. And now he finds himself caught in the crossfire of Elena's past. The impact of Elena's secret ripples through every aspect of their lives. Their relationship is strained, and the trust that was once the foundation of their connection feels fragile. Elena begins to withdraw emotionally, unsure of how Nicholas truly feels about her now that he knows the truth. She can no longer play the role of the humble nanny. Her secret has made her a different person in his eyes, and she doesn't know how to bridge the gap between them. She's afraid that the love they've shared is just an illusion, and that the reality of her wealth will drive him away. Nicholas, however, can't shake the feeling that there's more to Elena's story. He knows she's been hiding her true self, but part of him still wants to believe in her goodness and in her sincerity. He tries to reconcile the woman he's fallen in love with, the woman who's kind, caring, and selfless, with the reality of her inheritance. He begins to ask himself difficult questions. Does it matter that she's wealthy? Does it change who she is as a person? Most importantly, can they still have a future together, despite the enormous difference in their social status and the secrets that have now been exposed? The tension between them grows as the days pass. Nicholas starts to question his feelings, wondering if he's been blinded by his assumptions about wealth and status. He's always prided himself on being self-made, and the idea that someone could inherit their fortune rather than earn it feels foreign to him. He struggles to come to terms with the idea that Elena's past and her wealth might not define her, but his insecurities get in the way. For Elena, the emotional burden of keeping her secret is even more painful than before. She feels guilty for not being honest with Nicholas from the start, but she is afraid of his reaction. She thought that if he knew the truth, he would no longer see her as the woman she truly is, but as someone who is defined by her wealth. The realization that she was wrong, because Nicholas has shown genuine interest in her as a person, not just her money, leaves her feeling conflicted. She wishes she could undo the past and start fresh with him, but the truth can't be erased. Elena also begins to face the consequences of her secret in other areas of her life. Her relationship with her family becomes more strained as they pressure her to embrace the inheritance and the life of luxury that comes with it. They can't understand why she would want to live a modest life and be with someone who has no idea about her wealth. For Elena, the tension between her family's expectations and her desire for a simple, genuine life with Nicholas becomes increasingly difficult to navigate. She feels torn between two worlds, the one she's always known and the one she's now found in Nicholas, and she doesn't know if she can reconcile them. The emotional impact of the secret takes a toll on both Elena and Nicholas in different ways. Nicholas struggles with his sense of identity, questioning his values and beliefs. The idea that wealth and status could play such a large role in their relationship leaves him feeling vulnerable and unsure of himself. For Elena, the secret that she's been keeping for so long has now become a barrier between her and the one person she truly cares about. She fears that she's lost the chance at a life with him, and no amount of love can undo the damage her secret has caused. As the tension between them reaches its peak, they both have to make a choice. Nicholas must decide whether he can accept Elena's past and her inheritance, or if his feelings of betrayal will continue to cloud his judgment. Elena must come to terms with the fact that her secret has changed everything, and she has to find a way to either rebuild the trust with Nicholas or let him go. The impact of her secret has been far-reaching, but in the end, it will be up to both of them to determine what their future holds. Their story is far from over, but the question remains: can they ever go back to the way things were, or has the revelation of her secret changed their lives forever? The emotional conflict intensifies as Elena and Nicholas are forced to confront the core of their relationship: love versus truth. This pivotal moment becomes the battle that will either strengthen their bond or tear them apart. Nicholas, still reeling from the revelation about Elena's hidden past, finds himself in turmoil. His feelings for her have always been genuine, but now, faced with the truth about her wealth, he can't help but question everything he thought he knew. His inner struggle is palpable. He loves her, but can he truly accept who she is now that the truth has come to light? Elena, on the other hand, is overwhelmed by guilt and doubt. She has spent so much of her life hiding her identity, afraid that her wealth would overshadow her true self. Now that Nicholas knows the truth, she feels vulnerable, exposed, and unsure of how he will react. The emotional weight of this truth becomes a burden that she cannot escape. She wonders if the love they shared was just built on an illusion, or if it can withstand the strain of knowing her past. Her internal conflict revolves around whether she can be loved for who she truly is, or if Nicholas will only see her as the heiress to a fortune, not the woman she's come to be. The love they share is undeniable, but the truth of Elena's wealth creates an emotional rift between them. Nicholas feels betrayed, even though he knows she never intentionally deceived him. His insecurities about wealth and social class begin to surface. He had always prided himself on building his success, and now he was faced with the uncomfortable truth that Elena didn't need to work for what she had. The notion of someone inheriting wealth, rather than earning it, feels foreign to him, and it shakes his perception of himself and his place in her life. Elena, meanwhile, is struggling to understand Nicholas's reaction. She never meant for her secret to create distance between them. The love she feels for him is deep and real. But she fears that he will only see her as someone who has something he doesn't. Her fear of being rejected because of her wealth clouds her judgment, making it hard for her to see that Nicholas's feelings are not as easily swayed. He's hurt, yes, but it's not just about the money. It's about trust, vulnerability, and honesty. Elena's emotional conflict revolves around reconciling the woman she's become with the woman Nicholas believed her to be. As the days pass, the tension between them continues to rise. Every interaction feels charged with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Nicholas struggles to find a way to connect with Elena as the woman he fell in love with, not the heiress. He's torn between wanting to support her and feeling betrayed by her lack of transparency. Meanwhile, Elena feels the pressure of trying to prove to him that she is still the same person he fell for, despite the secret she's kept hidden. The emotional conflict reaches its peak when Nicholas has a conversation with a close friend about his feelings. He admits that the idea of Elena's wealth is something he can't ignore. But deep down, he knows that it's not just about the money. It's about the lies, the mistrust, and the emotional distance that has formed between them. His friend advises him to focus on the love they share and to decide whether he can let go of his preconceptions about wealth and status. Nicholas is left to question whether he's letting something as trivial as money cloud his judgment and his love for Elena. For Elena, the emotional conflict takes a different turn. She isolates herself, torn between wanting to fight for their relationship and fearing that it's already too late. Her past has always been a part of her, but now it feels like a barrier she can't cross. She wants to prove to Nicholas that she's more than just her wealth, but the pressure of constantly defending herself wears her down. Her internal struggle is compounded by her fear of being vulnerable and showing Nicholas the full extent of her emotional turmoil. At the heart of their emotional conflict lies the question of what is more important: love or truth? Can love survive when the truth about who they are is so different from what they imagined? Is it possible for them to find a way back to each other? Or has the truth irrevocably changed their connection? The conflict becomes not just about Elena's wealth, but about the very foundation of their relationship: the trust, the connection, and the emotional intimacy they once shared. As the story progresses, they both make choices that reflect their emotional growth. Nicholas begins to confront his own biases and insecurities. He realizes that his feelings for Elena go beyond what she has or doesn't have. It's not about money. It's about the person she is and the love they share. Slowly, he starts to see Elena as more than just the heiress. He sees her as the woman he fell in love with, and the emotional conflict within him begins to subside. Elena, too, starts to find her strength. She realizes that to move forward, she must let go of the fear that her wealth will always define her. She must accept that Nicholas's love for her isn't conditional on her financial status, and that true love transcends external circumstances. As she becomes more confident in herself, she starts to rebuild the trust that was broken between them, allowing for a deeper connection. In the end, the emotional conflict between love and truth is not easily resolved, but both Elena and Nicholas are changed by it. The truth has forced them to confront their deepest fears, insecurities, and desires. They emerge from the conflict with a clearer understanding of who they are, what they want, and the love they are willing to fight for. The resolution is not perfect, but it is real, showing that love, when rooted in honesty and vulnerability, can overcome even the most difficult challenges. The weight of the secret becomes unbearable as Elena and Nicholas are forced to face the consequences of the hidden truth. The love they've been nurturing begins to falter under the weight of what Elena's secret could mean for both their lives. This moment serves as a turning point in their relationship, where the price of the secret she's kept hidden for so long is revealed. The twist of fate lies in how the revelation of her past could either tear them apart or bring them closer together, depending on how they both react to the truth now that it's out in the open. The pressure is mounting for both of them, as they must come to terms with how much this secret has cost them, emotionally and practically. Nicholas begins to question whether the love they share is enough to overcome the damage done by the secret Elena has been keeping. His trust is shaken, and his feelings are torn between the person he fell in love with and the woman who's now standing before him, exposed and vulnerable. The stakes are higher than ever, as the consequences of this secret begin to play out in ways neither of them could have anticipated. The tension rises as Elena's life, once carefully constructed behind a veil of secrecy, starts to unravel. Her attempts to protect herself, her family, and her future have ultimately led her down a path where her deepest fears are now coming to light. As Nicholas grapples with this new reality, he starts to wonder if their love story is just an illusion, a fairy tale built on a foundation of lies. The twist of fate comes when Nicholas has to make a decision. Does he stand by Elena, despite everything she's kept from him? Or does he let the weight of the secret drive them apart forever? Elena, too, faces her moment of reckoning. She must come to terms with the fact that keeping this secret has not only affected her relationship with Nicholas, but also her sense of self-worth. She must now ask herself whether she's willing to pay the price for the life she's created, and whether the love she feels for Nicholas can survive the fallout of her choices. Both of them face the harsh reality that, in this world where everything seems to come with a price, there's a heavy cost to living a life of secrecy. What was once a relationship built on passion and genuine connection now faces an obstacle that neither of them can easily overcome. The twist in the plot comes when they realize that love cannot thrive on its own. It requires trust, vulnerability, and transparency. As the price of the secret becomes clearer, the characters must face the hard truth about themselves and their relationship. Will they be able to move forward together? Or will the price of the secret be too much for either of them to bear? This moment in the story marks a turning point where the consequences of deception and the need for redemption collide. As Elena's past catches up with her, she must decide how much she's willing to sacrifice for the chance at a future with Nicholas. Nicholas, meanwhile, finds himself standing at a crossroads, unsure of whether his love for Elena is enough to overcome the shattered trust and the lingering doubts that the secret has created. The twists and turns of fate continue to play out, as both characters must navigate the delicate balance between love and the price of the secret that could ultimately define their future. With emotions running high, and the truth threatening to destroy everything they've worked for, they must face the consequences head-on. The twist of fate will ultimately determine whether their love can survive, or if the price of Elena's secret is simply too steep to overcome. The moment of truth has arrived. Elena and Nicholas stand at a crossroads, where every decision they make from this point forward will forever alter the course of their lives. The pressure of their situation is mounting, and both of them are now fully aware of the gravity of the choices they must make. The truth is no longer hidden, and the consequences of the secret that Elena kept for so long are now undeniable. Nicholas, filled with confusion and doubt, is forced to confront the reality of the life he thought he was building with Elena. His trust has been broken, and the love he felt for her has been overshadowed by the painful realization of her deception. But the love between them is still alive, lingering in the air, impossible to ignore. Elena, on the other hand, is at her breaking point. She never imagined that the secret she thought she could keep hidden forever would bring them to this moment. This point where everything is on the line. She is faced with the most difficult decision of her life. Will she stay true to her past, the lies she's told, and the fear that has kept her locked in a cage? Or will she risk everything for a chance at redemption, love, and a future with Nicholas? The climax of the story is a dramatic turning point, where everything that has been building between the two characters comes to a head. The emotional stakes are higher than ever, and both Elena and Nicholas must come to terms with what they've been hiding from each other and themselves. The weight of their choices is overwhelming, and it's clear that no matter what they decide, there will be irreversible consequences. Elena's decision will shape her future, whether she chooses to remain in the world she's carefully constructed, filled with lies and secrets, or whether she risks everything to embrace the truth and her love for Nicholas. Nicholas, on the other hand, must decide whether he can forgive Elena and rebuild the trust that has been shattered. The climax isn't just about the secrets being revealed. It's about how the characters respond to those revelations, and whether their love can overcome the hurt and betrayal. The story builds to a fever pitch as Elena and Nicholas confront their fears, desires, and the uncertainty of their future. Can they find a way to move forward, or is the damage done beyond repair? As the tension reaches its peak, both of them must decide whether they will be prisoners to their pasts or whether they will have the courage to change their lives for the better. The emotional conflict is palpable, with each character grappling with their inner turmoil as they weigh the choices before them. Elena faces the possibility of losing the man she loves, and Nicholas must decide whether he can truly trust her again. The choices they make will define who they are as individuals and as a couple. The climax reveals the ultimate test of their relationship. Will they stay together and fight for their future, or will the burden of their past be too much for them to overcome? Their love story is now hanging by a thread, and their decisions at this moment will decide whether that thread snaps or strengthens. The intensity of this moment drives the story forward, with both characters realizing that their lives will never be the same after this decision. Elena and Nicholas are forced to confront their deepest fears: fear of loss, fear of change, fear of vulnerability. The story takes its most dramatic turn yet, as both of them must face the life-altering choice before them. This moment will test not only their love but also their personal growth, as they must decide whether they can move forward or whether they will be forever haunted by their past mistakes. As the climax unfolds, both characters are on the edge, knowing that the next step they take will either lead to a beautiful, redemptive future or a painful, irreversible end. The tension is palpable, and the fate of their relationship hinges on this critical moment. The fallout from Elena and Nicholas's life-altering choice has begun to take shape, and the aftermath is proving to be more complicated than either of them could have anticipated. The decisions they made in the climax have set off a chain reaction of events that will test the strength of their bond, their personal growth, and their commitment to each other. As they navigate the consequences of their choices, both characters find themselves in uncharted territory. For Nicholas, the aftermath is filled with emotional turbulence. He struggles with the weight of his forgiveness, questioning whether he made the right decision to trust Elena once again. The pain of betrayal still lingers in his heart, and although his love for Elena remains, it's clear that rebuilding the trust they once had will take time. He finds himself facing his insecurities, doubts, and fears, unsure whether their relationship can truly be salvaged. His internal battle becomes the centerpiece of the aftermath as he wrestles with the reality of his decision to stay with Elena despite everything that's happened. Meanwhile, Elena is struggling with the consequences of her actions. The secret she kept hidden for so long has taken its toll on both her and Nicholas. While she's relieved to be with him, she can't escape the feeling that her past is never truly behind her. Elena must now deal with the emotional fallout of her lies and the damage they've caused to her relationship with Nicholas. She feels a profound sense of guilt, knowing that her actions have nearly torn them apart. Despite her desire to make things right, she faces the harsh reality that she can't undo the past, and the road to redemption won't be easy. The external world is also part of the aftermath. People who were once close to both Elena and Nicholas now have their opinions about the situation, and the gossip surrounding their relationship has escalated. Friends, family, and acquaintances begin to weigh in, adding pressure to the already fragile situation. Elena is faced with judgment from others, some of whom believe she doesn't deserve the second chance Nicholas gave her. She must navigate these external pressures while also trying to keep her own emotions in check. As Nicholas grapples with the fallout, he also has to face the impact of his decision on his own identity and reputation. As a successful businessman, his personal life has always been in the public eye, and now that he has forgiven Elena, there's the looming fear of what people will think. The aftermath becomes a struggle for both characters to reclaim their sense of self, while still trying to hold on to the love they once shared. The story takes a deeper dive into the complexity of relationships, showing that even when the love is there, the emotional scars of betrayal and secrecy can't be ignored. There are moments of tension and raw vulnerability, as both Elena and Nicholas try to rebuild their connection. But it's clear that they are both scarred by the past, This part of the story reveals the true nature of their relationship as they try to rebuild trust, face their insecurities, and navigate the difficult road to forgiveness. For Elena, the aftermath brings her face to face with her fears. She is torn between her desire to be with Nicholas and the guilt she feels for betraying him in the first place. She also feels the weight of the judgment from the outside world, forcing her to question whether she truly deserves a second chance. But with every tear, every apology, and every moment of honesty, Elena is allowed to prove to herself that she is capable of change. Nicholas, too, must come to terms with his weaknesses in the aftermath. His decision to forgive Elena is a testament to his love for her, but he struggles to fully let go of the past. In many ways, the aftermath is just as difficult as the initial fallout because it's a constant process of healing, both individually and as a couple. As the days pass, both Elena and Nicholas begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The aftermath is not an easy path, but it brings them closer together as they learn to heal and grow stronger. Ultimately, the aftermath becomes a story of resilience, of overcoming the pain of the past to create a new future. As they deal with the fallout, they realize that the road to redemption is long, but it's a journey worth taking. Their relationship may never be the same as it once was, but the lessons they've learned in the aftermath will shape the future they build together. The story closes on a note of hope, where both characters are starting to rebuild their lives with a stronger understanding of themselves and each other. But the journey is not over, and the aftermath still holds challenges and lessons to be learned. The fallout may have shaken their foundations, but their love, though tested, has the potential to emerge stronger than ever. The final test of Elena and Nicholas's relationship arrives as they both must confront the lingering consequences of their past actions. With the foundation of their love now shaken but still intact, the road to true redemption and trust is still long. This part of the story focuses on their internal struggles and external challenges, where both characters will face their biggest emotional hurdles yet. The final test is not just about facing the mistakes they've made, but about proving that love, forgiveness, and trust can truly overcome the weight of betrayal. Elena's guilt weighs heavily on her heart. She feels that even though Nicholas has forgiven her, she has not yet forgiven herself. The mistakes she made in the past continue to haunt her, and she struggles to understand if she truly deserves redemption. As she works through her guilt, she realizes that the path to redemption doesn't just lie in Nicholas's forgiveness, but also in her own ability to forgive herself. The more she wrestles with her emotions, the clearer it becomes that she has to make peace with her past to move forward with Nicholas. Nicholas, on the other hand, faces a different battle. Though he has chosen to forgive Elena, the lingering doubt and mistrust still haunt him. He constantly asks himself if he's making the right choice by continuing to be with her. Nicholas's journey to trust Elena again is far from easy. His heart aches with the fear that history may repeat itself, and he worries about being hurt again. He finds himself torn between his love for Elena and the fear that trusting her will lead to another betrayal. However, the more he watches her struggle to make things right, the more he realizes that trust is something that must be rebuilt, not only through actions but through patience, understanding, and vulnerability. The couple faces their first major challenge when an unexpected event forces them to confront their deepest fears. A situation arises that tests their ability to trust each other completely. Elena's past threatens to resurface, and Nicholas is forced to confront whether he is truly willing to trust her again. This test challenges both characters to confront their insecurities and vulnerabilities. For Nicholas, it's a moment of self-reflection. He must ask himself whether he can move past his doubts and embrace the love that still exists between them. Elena, it's a moment of realization that she can no longer hide from her past. She must take full responsibility for her actions and prove that she's worthy of the second chance Nicholas has given her. At this moment, Elena's commitment to change is tested, and she must show that she has the strength to face her past and make amends for the harm she caused. As the emotional weight of the situation builds, the couple comes to a turning point. Nicholas must decide whether to walk away from the relationship, allowing the past to define their future, or to take a leap of faith and trust Elena's commitment to change. Elena, for her part, must choose to fully embrace her future with Nicholas, facing the reality that true redemption comes with the courage to take responsibility for her mistakes and the humility to accept forgiveness. The couple's journey of trust and redemption reaches its peak when they experience an emotional breakthrough. In this moment, they both realize that love is not just about living in the past, but about building a future together. They both acknowledge that they have scars from their previous experiences, but those scars do not define them. They are simply part of the journey. As they embrace the healing process, they come to understand that their relationship is not perfect, but it is real, and it is worth fighting for. In this final test, both characters find redemption not only in each other, but also in themselves. Nicholas's ability to trust again and Elena's courage to take responsibility for her actions mark the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. They both emerge stronger, wiser, and more determined to build a life together. This part of the story concludes with a sense of resolution, where both characters have proven to each other that they are capable of overcoming their past mistakes. It's a moment of emotional release as the tension that has defined their relationship begins to dissipate. The story ends with the couple acknowledging that while the journey to trust and redemption is ongoing, they are now ready to face whatever challenges come their way. Together, the moment of truth arrives for Elena and Nicholas as they must decide whether to take the next step in their relationship or let their past mistakes hold them back. This is a turning point where both characters must make the hardest decisions of their lives, decisions that will determine the future of their love story. As the emotional weight of their journey comes to a head, they must each confront their fears and hopes for what lies ahead. For Elena, the decision is not just about whether to move forward with Nicholas, but about whether she can trust herself to never repeat the mistakes of her past. The scars from her earlier decisions still haunt her, and she struggles with the idea of fully giving herself to Nicholas. She has learned so much throughout their journey together, but the fear of being vulnerable again, of being hurt again, makes it difficult for her to fully embrace her future with him. This decision is pivotal for Elena, because she knows that taking this next step means leaving her past behind, but also means fully opening her heart to Nicholas in a way she has never done before. She must ask herself if she's ready to embrace love without the fear of losing herself in the process. Nicholas, too, is standing at a crossroads. He has already forgiven Elena for her past mistakes, but he knows that moving forward means fully letting go of his lingering doubts and insecurities. He faces a choice between staying in his comfort zone, which means holding on to his fears and keeping a safe emotional distance, or embracing the vulnerability and risk of truly trusting Elena with his heart. As a man who has been deeply hurt by betrayal in the past, Nicholas's decision weighs heavily on him. He's come so far with Elena, but can he completely let go of the walls he's built around his heart? Can he truly leap and commit to a future with her? This decision is about embracing the unknown and trusting that their love is strong enough to weather any storm. Both Elena and Nicholas feel the weight of this choice. Their relationship has been built on a foundation of love, trust, and forgiveness, but now they must decide if they are both willing to take their bond to the next level. The decision looms large. Will they choose to build a future together, or will they allow their pasts and fears to drive them apart? The stakes are high. The consequences of their decisions will affect not only their relationship, but their entire lives. As they face this monumental moment, they each realize that the future is in their hands, and that they have the power to shape it. Elena finally gathers the courage to voice her fears, sharing with Nicholas her deep-seated anxiety about making the wrong choice. She confesses that she's terrified of repeating the mistakes of the past, and that she's afraid of what might happen if they take this next step and things don't work out. Nicholas listens intently, offering her comfort and reassurance. He explains that the only way to truly move forward is to trust that they have the strength to face whatever challenges come their way. His unwavering support and belief in their love give Elena the courage to take a deep breath and push past her fears. At the same time, Nicholas also opens up about his insecurities. He admits that while he loves Elena deeply, he's afraid of getting hurt again and is unsure whether he's ready to take such a significant risk. But as they share their vulnerabilities, they both come to a powerful realization Love isn't about perfection. It's about growth, trust, and facing the unknown together. The weight of the decision is finally broken as they both agree that no matter what happens, they are willing to take the next step together. The journey to this point has been difficult, but they now realize that the love they share is strong enough to overcome any obstacle. The decision to move forward is not without its uncertainties, but it is a choice driven by hope and a belief in the power of their love. They both agree that they want to build a life together, even if that life comes with challenges and uncertainties. This is the moment where Elena and Nicholas make their commitment to each other, where they choose to embrace the future and face whatever comes with open hearts. As they take this step together, they realize that their love has already triumphed over so much, and now they are ready for whatever comes next. The story concludes with a sense of optimism, as both characters understand that the road ahead will not always be easy, but will be worth it. They have decided to take the next step in their journey together, with a renewed sense of hope and commitment. The moment Elena and Nicholas have been dreading arrives: public scrutiny. Their decision to take the next step in their relationship has not gone unnoticed, and the media frenzy begins. News outlets around the world are quick to cover the story, spreading rumors and speculations and concluding without knowing the full truth. The couple is thrust into the spotlight, their personal lives under a microscope for the world to see. As the media frenzy intensifies, Elena and Nicholas struggle to come to terms with their newfound fame. While Nicholas, with his wealth and status, has always been a part of the public eye, this level of attention is new to Elena. She's overwhelmed by the invasive nature of the media and the constant barrage of questions about their relationship. The press paints their love story as a fairy tale, but they also sensationalize their struggles and challenges, turning every private moment into fodder for public consumption. Elena finds herself at the center of the negative press, with tabloids painting her as a gold digger, questioning her motives for being with Nicholas. Despite her efforts to keep a low profile, the media relentlessly digs into her past, unearthing secrets she's tried to bury. They speculate about her past relationships, her reasons for moving to a new city, and her sudden rise into the world of the wealthy elite. Each new headline adds pressure to the relationship, making Elena question whether it's worth it to continue in the public eye. She's constantly battling the overwhelming sense of judgment and the feeling that the world is watching her every move. Nicholas, too, feels the strain of the media frenzy. His past relationships and personal life are scrutinized, and he faces criticism for his decision to date a woman with such a complicated past. While his wealth and success have made him a familiar face in the media, the attention on his personal life is more intense than ever. As the pressure mounts, both Nicholas and Elena struggle to keep their relationship intact. They're faced with the decision of whether to hide away from the world or stand strong together in the face of adversity. The media frenzy becomes a test of their relationship, forcing them to confront the challenges of love in the public eye. Despite the negativity surrounding them, there are moments of unity between Elena and Nicholas. They take comfort in each other's presence and remind themselves of the love they share, the love that has survived so much already. However, as the media's invasion grows worse, Elena begins to feel suffocated. She's not used to living under such scrutiny and feels like she's losing her sense of self. Nicholas, on the other hand, has been in the public eye for years, but the pressure of defending their relationship begins to wear him down. He finds himself torn between protecting Elena and facing the demands of his career and public image. The couple reaches a breaking point when a particularly scandalous story breaks, casting doubt on Elena's character. The headline claims that she's hiding something from Nicholas, fueling speculation that she's only interested in him for his wealth. This sparks an argument between the couple, with Elena feeling betrayed by the media and Nicholas questioning whether their relationship is worth all the public attention. It's a moment of deep vulnerability for both of them as they face the reality that their love story is now subject to the judgment of millions. Despite the chaos, Nicholas makes a decision. He decides to confront the media head-on, making a public statement about his love for Elena and the truth behind their relationship. He reveals his commitment to her, stressing that their love is real and not based on wealth or status. Elena, though hesitant at first, stands by his side, agreeing to face the media together. They hold a press conference where they share their side of the story, addressing the rumors and exposing the truth behind the headlines. This public declaration of love marks a turning point in their relationship. Although the media continues to follow them, the couple feels a renewed sense of strength. The world has reacted, but they have taken control of the narrative. Their love story is no longer just a subject for gossip. It's a declaration of their commitment to each other. With their public statement, they begin to reclaim their privacy and their relationship from the claws of the media. As the frenzy settles down, Elena and Nicholas are left to reflect on the impact of the media's reaction. They realize that no matter how hard they try to control their public image, their love will always be something that is shared with the world. But they also understand that the most important thing is their bond, the trust they have built, and the way they've weathered the storm together. The world may have reacted, but in the end, it's their love story that will define their future. The story concludes with the couple more united than ever. They've faced the pressure of the media frenzy, but they've come out stronger, knowing that their relationship is built on a solid foundation of love, trust, and mutual respect. They've shown the world that they're not afraid to face adversity together, and no matter what the future holds, they are ready to face it as a team. The story reaches its conclusion, but the journey doesn't end there. Elena and Nicholas have faced countless challenges, from their unexpected encounter to the whirlwind of media attention, and now they stand stronger than ever, united in love. But this is where your journey begins. If you've enjoyed their story, if their struggles and triumphs have touched your heart, now is the moment to act. Join them in their journey of love, trust, and transformation. Share your thoughts, your support, and your own experiences in the comments. What part of their story resonated with you the most? What lessons have you learned from Elena and Nicholas's story? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another twist in this emotional roller coaster. Your subscription helps us bring more powerful, heartwarming stories directly to you. Hit the notification bell to be the first to know when the next chapter unfolds. But there's more. Do you have your own love story to share? Are you struggling with trust, vulnerability, or the pressures of the outside world? Join our community of like-minded individuals who want to share, connect, and support each other through the highs and lows of love and life. The story may have ended, but together, we can keep the conversation going. Leave your comments below, and let's make this a space where we can all grow together. This is just the beginning. The next story might be yours. Take the first step today.